So growing up, I was always wanted to know what did we do wrong against the Hutus. It did not make sense to me. So today when I'm speaking, it's all those memories that I had to live through when I was young. These guys that we hear like a kids in the doors and coming inside and everybody, oh, everybody's trying to squeeze and going in the soccer field. And there is nothing horrible like a sound of machete in the bone of somebody. In my mind I say, I don't want to be killed by a machete. But somehow, because I was kid and short, I said maybe the bullet won't pass through me.
Hearing his story, even though it was two different events that happened, obviously the Rwandan genocide and Stoneman Douglas, I saw a lot of my story in his, and I could relate to what he went through and the struggles and the pushing through and moving on, and I could just relate to the message that he was sending out.
Together we remember Olivia Engel, who lost her life in the Sandy Hook shooting.
Together we remember Martin Richard, and he was one of the youngest victims of the Boston bomb.
Together we remember Rachel Scott, who was killed at Columbine High School.
Together we remember Leopold Sosha, a Holocaust upstander.
Together we remember Aaron Feist, a victim of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting.
We remember Hamza Mustafa, a victim of the attacks in Christchurch.
Together we remember Trevor Martin, a victim of gun violence.
Together we remember Cecil and David Rosenthal, brothers who were killed at the Tree of Life Synagogue.
Together we remember Anne Frank, a victim of the Holocaust who inspired millions with her words.
Together we remember Joseph, a Tutsi survivor who lost 30 family members in the Rwandan genocide.
Together we remember Joaquin Oliver, killed at the Stoneman Douglas school shooting, to keep the conversation of violence alive and to work to find peace.
The rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and the chill of the winter, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the business of the skies and in the warmth of the summer, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. As long as we live, they live too, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them. As long as I've lived, they will live too, for they are now a part of us and we remember them.
Especially younger folks. When I'm sharing my story, it's not a crazy genocide that happened in a really crabby, crazy African people. It's a humanity crisis. If it can happen to Rwanda, it can happen to anywhere. Maybe not from Hutu and Tutsi, maybe from other kind of differences.
Right, and actually when you leave this class, you see a poster on the wall over there. Elie Wiesel said that when you listen to a witness, you become a witness. So we all just heard you, and now it's our responsibility to tell others about your story.
My name is Brandon Descent. I am a student at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, student activist, and a rager / party promoter by night. Wink. I was born and raised in an area called Deepside Lauderhill, about 20-30 minutes away from Parkland. It's a rough area, but I lived there since from age 1 to 11. Towards the end of my stay there, I experienced a lot, through school. I get beat up, jumped every day. I get bitten into, scratched, elbowed, stabbed with the pencils. It was normal to me back then. I was still a happy kid. I still found happiness through little things like action figures and comic books and cartoons and stuff. One experience that might have shaped who I am today, what I stand for, is my first brush with gun violence. I think I was about 8 years old. when a police officer was shot right in front of my neighborhood, just shot in the face. And it took them like a few days to find him, actually. Just like seeing that and like watching the aftermath unfold, you know, like the police helicopters shining flashlights, like lights in my backyard, police sirens everywhere, just like, you know, it was just like, it was like the first time where I actually felt like vulnerable in my own space, at home. And that's actually part of the reason why we moved from Lauderhill, ended up in Parkland, was to escape gun violence. So when it found us again, February 14th, I was like, okay, I can't run away from this anymore. Like, I need to like do something about it, try to do something. I need to speak about it, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's no more running away from it. So I guess that was kind of the catalyst to my journey as a gun violence activist. Well, I started off working for Andrew Gillum's campaign. Him and I grew to be very close, I would say, over the summer. It's kind of like an unpaid intern, as you could say, like most interns, along with Mei-Ling Ho-Shing, another founder of my organization, STORM, which stands for Students Tactically Organizing Revolutionary Movements, which was formed in response to March for Our Lives' early lack of inclusivity of people of color. So yeah, like I spent most of the summer working with Gillum, speaking around the country, accepting awards, you know, trying to enact some change in not only my community but other people's communities, without being too invasive, of course. But yeah, but like now that, you know, the election's over, the governor's election is over, and we unfortunately lost, I've kind of like, you know, taken a step back to kind of like stray away from the political aspect of gun violence and to speak more about like mental health, and like, you know, I'm trying to promote like, I guess, positive energy into whatever space I'm in. You know, just trying to offer like whatever little bit of wisdom, you know, I've obtained in the short 18 years that I've been on this planet, you know, with all of my experiences, and to try to like help others who might be going through similar things. Intentions and how you treat people and just your mood, it matters. It affects other people. So try to be as positive as you can, even if you don't necessarily feel like you're able to in that moment.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
The term melting pot in the title of your book, not used all that much in the immigration debate of recent years. How do you define that?
Well, the melting pot is this idea that America should be about the melting and fusing together of different groups. The idea that we want a society in which people might celebrate their ethnic origins, but those ethnic origins don't necessarily constrain your life. You're ultimately becoming part of a larger American whole.
For so many people around the world, Lady Liberty represents the warmest of welcomes into the land of freedom, opportunity, and the home of the brave.
To be immigrant, it's very hard. It's not easy. But when you don't have any other option to do, you have to immigrate to a different country. And I'm very happy to immigrate to the state.
To me, to come in America as an immigrant is like a born again. It's come to a country that give you opportunities, to change your life.
I stayed 15 years, I didn't see nobody from my family. I talked to them on the phone, but it's very bad, and it's very hard too, to stay away from your family. You don't see them for a long time.
I went to Missouri and studied there, and everything was fantastic. I was welcomed, and I was everywhere I went. Nowadays, it's totally different.
We're all familiar with the controversy surrounding immigration policy. However, many Americans haven't fully comprehended its history.
Immigration in this country started in the early part of the country, in the 1790s. And the first thing that we were worried about was, I mean, obviously only white people were allowed to be immigrants then. It was more of a, as long as you're in good standing with the government, you're a resident of at least 2 years, you have the ability to become a citizen. When we started dealing with other nations was more after the Civil War in the 1870s, and back then the majority of immigrants were from Western Europe and Northern Europe. At the time, people from the Western Hemisphere, you know, Mexico, Central America, South America, and Canada were almost always allowed in. That finally changed in the 1960s. I don't remember the exact name of the act, but in the 1960s there was an immigration act that was passed that was more focused on getting skilled workers into this country and really like uniting families, which sort of has spilled into what's going on right now with DACA and everything else. It was the first time we ever put limits on people from Latin America, from Canada, and the majority of immigrants that came in during that period in the 60s were more Asian.
People have to speak up. What's going on in the country here is just it's something that it's un-American.
I hate when people call America the land of immigrants, because I feel like it insults the struggle my parents had to do to get here. So to be an American means to be part of a country with a lot of baggage. And I think it's, you know, our responsibility as Americans to try and make a better future.
The situations in our countries is not that good, not safe. Some people, they run away because other people, they want to kill them or they want to do something for them or whatever. Everyone have different story, but I don't wish this to nobody, and I hope everyone come immigrant to the state, take their papers as soon as possible, because first, if they don't have their papers, they don't know how to work in the state. Nobody give them job. This is very important. And for you to be immigrant in the state, you have to behave, and also to have good history. You have to pay your taxes. You have to pay everything to be clean.